Oh, man. Hey, have we started yet?
Yeah,
You are on the clock, Trento.
We're live.
We're live right now.
We're live
I need a couple of minutes to prepare for. I got some inside intelligence from my sources, and this stuff is dynamite. And today we're on the Boston bombing and Islam and all of that. And what can I do?
Live radio,
Right
Trento.
now, live
radio, please.
Oh man, this is I don't know. This is an amazing piece of intelligence right here that has all the answers to everything, ladies and gentlemen. Why they did it. If you want to know why the Boston guys did it, just turn to the National Enquirer. You too, when you leave Publix, can get it. You can find out about their twisted lives of drugs, porn, and booze. Do you see something happening already here? The terrorist camps, and you read through the National Enquirer, which is usually, sometimes they actually get to the bottom of the stuff. But here they look like just a couple of bizarre freakazoids having nothing to do with...
Well, I heard they were good students in high school.
Here we go. Hooked on porn and drugs. That's the lead here. Nothing to do with Al-Qaeda, nothing to do with Islam. It's porn and drugs, folks. Watch out for those porn and drugs and pressure cookers.
They will make you crazy.
We need a ban against pressure cookers and a ban against porn and a ban against drugs. So we should all be Muslims, I guess. That's
or Mormons.
Or Mormons, yeah, that'd be the same thing. Hi, everybody. Tom Trento. I'm right over here. Tom Trento saying hello to the viewing world out there and to the radio world. On the radio side, we're on WNN 1470, or as we like to say, NN. We make it real easy. NN. Say it along with me.
NN.
Let's say it again. NN.
NN.
There we go. Oh, that's not. We can do this harmonically. Is it harmonically?
We do the third time? I'll do the third.
Okay, good. NN. NN. Okay.
Very bad.
Idea. Very bad idea.
Back to jihad, please.
So we are not singers, but some of you do sing out there. I don't. We'd like to catch the young guy, have the young guy Dzhokhar Sarnev sing a little bit, but he's lawyered up. Thank you, Mr. Holder and Mr. Obama. Now, I missed the news earlier today on the 30th of April, Tuesday. It's something past 5 right now. Wherever you may be on the East Coast, if you're somewhere else, it's something past 2, and it's something past something else if you're somewhere else.
Yeah, we can hear you. We're playing.
The president spoke today, and from what I understand, he said we need to close Guantanamo Bay because, this is a police action.
It's Congress's fault.
Is that what it was?
It's Congress's fault.
Boy.
And everything was someone else's fault. Nothing was his responsibility whatsoever. The only reason things aren't getting done is because everybody else is out to get it.
His responsibility regarding what? Boston?
Everything.
The whole...
Everything, the sequester, everything.
Obamacare is coming off the rails.
Obamacare is the states that aren't cooperating. So that's
AQ, Al-Qaeda's on the ropes. They're
He did say that. He did mention that.
No way.
Yes.
See, I missed that.
And also,
I was doing research.
And 85% of Obamacare is already implemented, by the way.
Oh my word! All right, well, folks, that's why we're here on TrentoVision. Tom Trento, your host. Next to me, where'd she go? CJ. Oh, CJ. Where's CJ?
Her boat broke down.
We had a little storm here in South Florida at the bunker, and literally the whole area was flooded, and CJ could not make it today. She lives far, far away from the bunker. But we're here, and we're coming at you live and in color. And today, if you go to my screen, I'll introduce the subject. It's very controversial, somewhat provocative, but we don't walk away from or shy away from or fear provocation, but we don't provoke for the sake of provoking. We provoke for the sake of identifying that which is true, so that which is bad, follow along, can be dealt with. So if you come back to this screen, we sent out an email today, Tuesday, April 30th, that says, "It's Islam, stupid." And there's a horrendous horrendous picture for those of you driving in your automobiles of the carnage, and there's no other way to describe this.
Tom, are you saying these guys were not self-radicalized?
Self-radicalized!
Oh, that's another thing Obama said during his speech today, that these guys were self-radicalized. How do you become? All right, well, let's look at it the other way. How do you not become self-radicalized in Islam?
It's a nonsensical term, and as you follow us, folks, for the next 3 days, Tuesday, what's today? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 days, next 4 shows. We're on Boston, and our theme for the week is It's Islam Stupid. We have found that there are certain teachings, certain proofs presented, certain evidence that if you are being fair to the science, the forensic science of investigation, if you're being fair to the history books, if you're being fair to the individuals who have a particular belief system, you must conclude a particular way. If the way that the facts lead to a particular conclusion are not something you are comfortable with, you do not have a right to change the facts about the given material that we're investigating. And in this case, we're investigating Islam. And if you don't like where the facts of Islam lead you, you don't have a right to say, oh, that's not Islam. I'm a Jewish guy or a Christian guy. I don't even really believe in either of those things. I live my life and I run my business and I like, but that can't be Islam. What do you know? What do you know about what Islam qua Islam? Islam as Islam is. That's what we're going to show you over the next 4 days. This will be an uncomfortable series from here on out.
Very uncomfortable for me.
Yes, very uncomfortable. No, you may actually like this, Imam Abdullah.
I love when you talk about my religion,
Yes,
but
there's your
you
religion.
make the way you describe make me uncomfortable.
Right,
It makes it me harder to be that I fool you, you fool.
Well, come back to my screen and I'll show you. We're going to talk about it's Islam stupid. That's the cause. Islam is the cause of the effect you see on the screen, the Boston bombing. Hey, America, we wrote today. As much as you would like to live in a fantasy world believing a lie, it just could be true. And this is what we are suggesting and presenting for your intelligent, dispassionate consideration. It just could be true that 1,400 years of Islamic history, not 2 weeks, 1,400 years of Islamic history and authoritative doctrinal teaching, all of those words mean something, and current political methodology, again, these words have meaning, indicates, points in the direction of, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the bar in many courts for evidentiary proof, that Islam mandates, demands, another word for mandates, demands, requires, obligates its participant to violent, kinetic, offensive jihad, a violent, kinetic, offensive component to its apocalyptic quest for world domination. All of those words are taken basically out of the textbooks and the Quranic teachings and the authoritative teachings of, Islam. Interesting, isn't it? So over the next few days, we're going to tell you what true Muslims believe. And we're going to show you that those Muslims that don't believe what true Islam teaches are not good Muslims. And they're kidding themselves to think they are, and they're kidding themselves, like my good friend Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, to think he can reform Yosef Qaradari, Bukhari, Syed Qutb, Al-Azhar. He can go to, and bless Zuhdi's heart, and we help him wherever we can. But to think that you can reform a movement that is apocalyptic in nature and jihad, kinetic jihad in methodology,
So
is to make the most grievous of errors, folks. That's going to result in not another Boston, but another 50 Bostons, much bigger, much stronger. And that's what we said right here. If we do not have the courage, and we concluded that whatever, take our hypothesis that we just laid out and see if it fits the threat doctrine of Islamic jihad a wee bit better than whatever nonsensical and near traitorous viewpoint the commander-in-chief is selling today. If we do not have the courage to understand the belief structure of the enemy in order to defeat the enemy, in order to kill the enemy in places where we have to do that, then Boston better get stronger and stronger, because there's going to be a lot of Bostons. Yeah, Mark, what's up?
I got a question for you. So what you're saying is a Muslim who's adopted Western values, who's adopted Western traditions, they are apostates from Islam, and bin Laden and those type of individuals are actually practicing Islam correctly?
They would not be, yes, the short answer is yes, but they would not be formally classified an apostate because they have not rejected Islam. They believe differently than Islam. They're creating mischief. Once they start creating mischief, then it could lead to doctrinally apostasy. But the battle in the 56 Islamic nations worldwide,
okay.
There's no real great battle because most of them are not Western countries. They're Muslim countries, and the Sharia dictates. Coming over to Europe, where they've prevailed, they being Sharia compliant Muslims have prevailed for the most part. In the United States, we still have a sliver of an open window. I'm good, thanks. A sliver of an open window to deal with this issue the way we have to. We do not have the courage and the fortitude necessary. But we here at the United West, Tom Trento, our team at TrentoVision, we're trying to wake people up to these issues. So yes, in the sense that a Muslim rejects the doctrines of the Prophet Mohammed and the teachings of the Sunnah, the Hadith, the Quran, he's not a good Muslim. And he needs to be brought along. And that's the whole idea of an Islamic center in the United States, to bring the jihad mentality front and foremost in the name of the participants, and whether it's cultural or kinetic jihad. But that's what we're going to deal with the next 4 days. So those are good questions. All right, we ready, folks? Kiddies?
Let's rock and roll.
In June 2009, back to my screen here, you know how this world works, it's pretty crazy. Had no idea. Actually, that's not true. We knew when we went in June of 2009 to the Roxbury Mosque, Islamic Society of Boston. We knew it was a bad joint and a jihad academy, if you will. That's why we went there. I was asked to come. I went to Boston to protest the opening of Islamic Society of Boston's newest jihad headquarters, the Roxbury Mosque. And I went there, and on a very interesting little trip, we'll show you the videos over the next 4 days. And we're doing this on two levels. One, to show you the factual information, and that we hit it out of the park 4 years ago, predicting video number 4, which you'll see Friday, is entitled The Demise of Boston. We predicted that this type of activity would occur. And so we're going to show you the 4 videos, but we're going to do it in the context of working with an organization called Americans for Peace and Tolerance. If you can come...
Is that the same guy we did this special with, Tom? The person who...
Exactly. Charles Jacobs. If you can come back to my screen right here. Charles and Ilya, his assistant and researcher, they started an organization 5-6 years ago, Americans for Peace and Tolerance. Everyone, we want you to go to this website. This is the most informative, the most detailed, the most factual, the most helpful website, understanding what the heck is going on in Boston with the jihadis all over the place. And go here.
What is the American for Peace? What's the website, Tom?
Yeah, right there. It's called peaceandtolerance.org. Peace and Tolerance. What a lovely name. Charles, what are you doing with that name?
It sounds like a Muslim thing.
Yeah, Peace and Tolerance. Americans for Peace and Tolerance. But that's our brother Charles Jacobs. That's his organization. promoting peaceful coexistence in an ethically diverse America. And he has Muslims on the board, and he can't be considered a hater of Islam in any way, shape, or form. He works with Muslims who are trying to do what they can to fight against Sharia-compliant Islam. But in 2009, Charles asked myself, Frank Gaffney, a few others, come to Boston and protest the opening of the Boston Mosque. We went up there. So we're going to show you those videos, but we're going to do it in the context of a couple of investigative pieces that Americans for Peace and Tolerance did. So today, kids, sit back. We're going to show you a bunch of movies. We're going to talk about the movies, actually today and the rest of the week. And for you folks that better not sit back and you're driving in the flooded I-95 as you're listening on your radio, you can listen to all this, but here's what we're telling you. When you get home tonight, because we archive every show, this show runs from 5 to 6. Tonight, go to youtube.com/, so you go to the YouTube channel, /The United West, one word. Go there. That's our archives. You look at today's show and watch it every night for this week. It's 1 hour. We went from a 3-hour radio show to a 1-hour television type show for you. And the amount of material you're going to look at tonight, 3 videos, you will know more than 90% of all Americans on this issue as it relates to Boston. You'll know 80% more than all FBI agents do.
And you realize what this term self-radicalize, what a ridiculous idea this is. It's completely insane.
Well, yeah, we're gonna definitely deconstruct that term for sure. But here's where we want you to go. All right, perfect. That's what I need. Here's where we want you to go. Take a look at this now. Let me see if I can do this. See if this works. Yeah, this should work. Okay, there we go. This is my wonderful artwork. If you can zoom in on that. What we're doing, our theme for the next 4 days here on TrentoVision at about 5:18, 18 minutes past 5 o'clock on WNN 1470. Can you see the writing, or is it too whited out? Let's try this camera. Let's go to that camera, see if that works any better. There we go. Coming over to the next camera, and
take another preview.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's a little better. A crescent and a star. We're not going to get into all of that, but those are pagan symbols that Islam adopted. Actually, and guess when they adopted these symbols, Islam? Take a wild guess. What century?
The 8th century.
Well, what is? You always get a mix. All right, it's 630.
No, I thought the same thing. I looked it up. The 19th century.
Get really?
Well,
this like 1920s or 30s or something?
In the late 1800s, and the early 1900s, Turkey used these symbols. And if you trace it back to Turkey, I've got to stay over here for a second. If you trace it back to Turkey, it was a moon god and another deity, Ishtar, I think, for the star god. But if you see here, this is the symbol for Islam now, and it became very popular in the early 1900s. Islam basically has three categories: the Quran in the center, the Hadith, and the Sunnah. The Quran is the spoken word of Allah to the angel Gabriel, translated or dictated to Mohammed, and he wrote it down. The Sunnah, another compilation of written material, is the absolute way the prophet lived, and you're supposed to live that way. And the Hadith are the recordings people made about the life of the prophet, and you're supposed to follow his life. So the Sunnah and the Hadith are somewhat associated, but the Sunnah is much more personal on exactly what he did. If he picked his nose with his right hand, you're supposed to do that. If he wiped his butt with his left hand, you're supposed to do that. And I mean, these details are in these documents. So this is Islam. Those 3 documents. Then
Can I add one little caveat on that?
Sure,
Don?
yeah.
Is Sharia which is Islamic law. It's not Sharia law. It's actually just called Sharia. Sharia is Islamic law, which means the path to the watering hole. The Sunnah, like Tom is talking about, means Muhammad's well-traveled path to the watering hole, or the road, the paved road to the watering hole, if you will. And the Quran is a document that encompasses all of it. And so you cannot have Sharia, you cannot have Islam without Sharia, and Sharia has to exist with Islam. So that's the reason this whole American lawless American courts thing is so important too.
Yep, all this fits together. We're going to show you how to get from Islam to the bomb in Boston, okay? And the journey that, stay right here for a second, this one. The journey that we're going to take you on from Islam to the bomb goes through the Islamic Society of Boston and the Roxbury Mosque, and that actually almost looks like the
That
Roxbury
looks like
Mosque.
actual picture.
Yeah. Not
These are
bad.
really
huh?
great
These are my-
high-tech graphics,
these
Tom.
are
I
my-
love this. I
these are
love
my
this. Yeah.
graphics. But we're going to go from Islam to the bomb through this society, the Islamic Society of Boston, and then with the collaboration of two willfully blind dummies, useful idiots. One is Governor Duval, who is legally blind, by the way. But we're talking intellectually and politically and culturally blind to what's going on in front of him. And the other guy is Mayor Menino, if you can show him. He is just a dummy. I mean, the guy really is, and he's been elected like 500 times in Boston. And I was there when he was giving his speech to the Roxbury Mosque. And our friends have tried to work with both of these guys through the years to say, you got bad people in the Islamic Society of Boston. And you know what their answer was? Let's give them money so they can build more mosques. And Boston gave them money to build more mosques.
What do you think about that, Abdul? Was that a good idea?
I love that. It is Giza. You give us the Giza, no?
Abdullah, here's the deal. You're kind of a nice guy. We have you in here. But what's with your bros, man? They're starting to blow things up, and it's starting to get a little tense. What's the
Well,
deal?
we have been doing this for a very long time. It is just recent that we do it in your miserable country.
What do you want from us? What could we do?
You can submit. You can just lay down your constitution and let us destroy, and just let us invoke the Sharia. You will be much better off in the long run. You will be happier. Everyone will be happier once we are all come to terms that Allah is supreme.
And you won't blow us up.
As long as you will convert, or at least pay the Giza, we will not blow you up.
So we pay a little more taxes, and then if you think about this, maybe it's not that bad.
We offer you three choices. What more? Door one, we kill you.
Convert?
Door two, convert. Door three is the Giza.
The jizya.
Well, door
that-
three is door three is the one I'm really concerned about. That's the die part.
Yeah, well, he wanted to kill us on door one. I mean,
I get a little excited.
Convert, submit, or die.
I'm
Okay.
recently back from Saudi Arabia on my swordsman interview.
what about suppose we follow all of that, but we still help Israel out and help defend Israel?
Not good. Very not good. That is, listen, Trento, we dislike you Christians very, very much, but not as much as we hate the Jews. Okay? So would be in your much best interest to not support the Zionist nation.
Okay, we'll remember that. Let's see.
In fact,
Yeah.
I've had some of my co-religionists have claimed that your support for the Zionist regime is entirely why they blow up your institutions.
So if we leave Israel, if we blow out of the Middle East, get all of our troops out of Afghanistan, Iraq, all this stuff, and pull out, leave Israel alone, you guys will leave us alone. Well, what would you do to Al Qaeda wants to go and take over Saudi Arabia and then control all the oil in the world. So if we pull out, will Al Qaeda be nice and not take over Saudi Arabia and control all the world's oil and then shut down the West?
That is highly unlikely. Let us not kid ourselves, Trento.
Okay. Well, let's not kid ourselves either when you come to my screen. We just took a look at how we're going to proceed on Boston. Let's get in my little airplane. Let's go to 30,000 feet and look at what happened yesterday. 8 people killed as the Pakistani Taliban target more candidates. This happened yesterday. What we're doing today, folks, and for the next 4 days here on TrentoVision, today's April 30th, 2013. It's about, 28 minutes or so past 5 o'clock for the timekeepers out there, something like that.
25 after.
25
5.
after, okay. My clock's not working here. Our goal is to burn into your heads the proposition that it's Islam stupid, that the system called Islam, which does have a religious component, it's actually a very small component, has a very large political component, it has a military component, it has a financial component. It's a total life system for every second from the cradle to the grave and beyond. We're saying that this system is the de facto cause of the effect kinetic jihad, physical jihad, violent jihad, offensive jihad worldwide, and that it's coming to a neighborhood near you in the United States of America. Don't get mad at us for saying this. We are analyzing data and communicating it to you. One of the pieces of data is this article yesterday in CNN that occurred in Pakistan. Watch this. Follow along with me at home. At least 8 people, if you can make it full screen, I think it'd be better. At least 8 people were killed Sunday as the Pakistan Taliban continued to attack candidates in the country's upcoming elections. The Pakistan Taliban, in a statement obtained by CNN, took responsibility for the bombings. They said a man cannot be secular and Muslim at a time. These are 2 different doctrines in nature.
100% correct.
All right,
Takbir!
let's stop there for a second. The Taliban, what are the unique identifying characteristics of the Taliban and theological characteristics?
Talking about like they're Sunni or in general or more
they're Sunni, but they're
Sharia compliant.
Sharia compliant.
And they follow the 3 sections of documents, the Quran, the Sunnah, Hadith, to the letter.
Yes, they
Okay,
do.
who's a better Muslim? The individual that follows the teaching of Islam to the letter, or the person that says, screw all that stuff, I'm going to go do crazy
I'm having a
stuff.
bag of popcorn. I'm going to watch a porn movie.
Who's
right?
a better Muslim?
Not Zudi Jasser.
Now, right now, people are getting uncomfortable driving in their cars, listening, and in their homes because it's now starting to make sense. The Taliban, who follow the teachings of Islam from 1,400 years ago to now, follow it more explicitly, dynamically, exactly, directly than most Muslims in the world. So from an Islamic point of view, who's the better Muslim?
The Taliban?
Well, actually, I would disagree with you about most Muslims in the world. Most Muslims in the world follow more towards the Taliban ideology than the Muslims so-called in the West.
Well, yeah. But my point is, in terms of the percentage, if we had a meter and you put it on the Taliban, and you follow them around for a month, the meter would say, "Whoa, you followed Islam
100%.
94.6%."
Right.
And then you put it on, Zudi Jasser, and
I gotta give him
2% for you,
I gotta
Zudi.
give like
2%.
20% for Zudi. Okay.
Not even.
Or you go to some of the folks at the Students for Justice for Palestine, put the meter on them,
50, 60.
50, 60, right. Who's the better Muslim? The guy who follows it 95% of the time better, or the person who follows it 50%? We're not making a moral judgment on what they're following. We're making an intellectual assessment of the commitment to the doctrine. Who's better, the guy who follows it or the guy who doesn't follow it? Very simple question.
Who is following it with more accuracy?
But the consequences of that, the political, social, cultural consequences of the reality of what we're talking about, folks, now is frightening. Absolutely frightening. Because I'll jump ahead to Friday. where we make a conclusion that the good Muslims are the ones who follow the teachings of Muhammad and the Quran and Allah and of the Sunnah and the Hadith and the Sharia.
I like when you say this,
Yes,
Trento.
see? The bad Muslims are the people that don't want to blow us up.
That's correct.
That's what it is. Okay. Now, watch this. These guys get even better here in Pakistan. They said a man cannot be secular and Muslim at the same time. These are two different doctrines. Watch this. Then going down a little further in the article that was in yesterday's CNN, they said, we are not. This is the Pakistani Taliban who's blowing up people running for office in Pakistan because they're running on a democratic Western-type ticket. The Taliban said, we are not in favor of a democracy. Democracy is for Jews and Christians, he said in a recent propaganda video. They are intended to divide Muslims. That is, democracy does. We want the implementation of blank law. What law is that? We want the implementation of blank law, Sharia law, and for that, blank is necessary. How do you implement the Sharia?
Are you asking? Or
Yeah,
are
I'm
you
asking you. I'm asking you.
What is necessary for Sharia?
They are intended to drive. They, being the Jews and Christians who are in democracy, are intended to divide Muslims. I'm reading from CNN's report on the Pakistani Taliban who's killing people running for office. We, the Taliban, want the implementation of Sharia law, and for that, the blank is necessary.
The
Jihad?
Jihad is necessary.
Hey, I love the jihad.
The jihad is necessary.
Trento, we're having so much fun today. You fully agree with that, with me, no?
This is exactly what we wrote about in Sharia, the Threat to America. We said that the goal is the establishment of the Sharia, and if you can get useful idiots like Governor Duval and Mayor Menino to lay down and give you money to build your Islamic jihad academies, or if you could have appeasement, as we do with this administration and the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, then the jihad is cultural. But the Pakistani Taliban is saying, hey, we have a mandate, as we said earlier in our flyer, from Allah. There's no goofing around. And the way to get to the Sharia is through the jihad. It's very simple. So now what we've established so far, kids, so far at 35 minutes after 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the 30th of April. 32 minutes after 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the 30th of April, 2013, here in Boca Raton, Florida, on WNN. If you're driving in your car going, this is interesting, this is National Security Radio. Your host, Tom Trento, and we got all the boys over there. And the girl, we're missing the girl, CJ, today.
Where
She'll
is
be
your
back
little
tomorrow.
Jewish
Yes.
co-host? She
will be
does not
back
like
tomorrow.
the jihad so much.
No, she doesn't like the jihad. No, she'll be here. She doesn't mind digging into the jihad.
Cool.
We have a proposition this week in our 4-part series that the Boston bombing is Islam. It's the outworking of Islamic doctrine by Muslims who believe in the doctrine. It's not an aberration. It's not Mark's favorite term.
What is it?
Self-radicalization.
Self-radicalization. That's right. That's a stupid term.
Self-radicalization. Oh my God, he's self-radicalizing himself. Look at this. He's on fire.
Abdullah, do you have like a radicalization machine that you kind of like put people in, and
Well,
that's not self-radicalization? I mean, is
Yes,
it?
it looks more like a car wash, but it has the moving sidewalk, and you come in as kuffar, and by the time you leave, you're a jihadi.
You're self-radicalized through the
Oh,
jihad
absolutely.
wash.
They give you your Quran and prayer rug on your way out.
So one you're kufar, and you kind of get the scrub wash, the eye wax, and everything, and at the other end you become you're jihadi,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
But you don't do it on your own. It's a machine, right?
Yeah,
That is the machine. That is not for
But
self-radicalization.
the president told us, the president is teaching us, and all the leaders from the White House are teaching us that these guys were self-radicalized. Like, they
And what were the
floated,
others?
they
Floated
floated
in the air.
They floated into another universe, and something happened, and they became I don't understand. Anybody out there that can help
Can
us?
explain to me.
Right in the chat if you know
all,
what self-radicalization.
All it is an attempt by Obama to divert responsibility away from Islam.
To avoid the gigantic elephant in the room of Islam.
It's not Islam. Yeah,
I think that is the new term for lone wolf, meaning not part of a broader, what's the name of the group that he destroyed? The one that doesn't exist anymore and doesn't do terrorism anymore.
Oh, Al-Qaeda?
Yeah, that
one. Okay.
That's what I think self-radicalized means. It means you're not part of one of those terrorist groups. You're just all goofy by yourself.
And so was Bin Laden self-radicalized?
I guess now. Look,
I'm asking a question, serious question. I mean, is the president of Egypt, Morsi? Was he self-radicalized?
No, absolutely not. He was radicalized by Hassan al-Banna.
Okay, then was Hassan al-Banna self-radicalized?
He was self-radicalized by the Quran.
Okay, so were the Nazis all self-radicalized? I mean, it makes absolutely no sense.
It's a nonsensical statement that has no foundation in any intellectual fiber. It is frightening when if we were the Muslim Brotherhood, we got to be popping champagne, even though they don't drink, but they probably do behind closed doors.
Oh, they all do, actually. You're only allowed not to drink in public.
We got to be popping champagne, going, I can't believe these people. They're making our case self-radical. Who came up? I came up with the Abdullah. Way to go! You came up with self-radicalization. Good job, man.
Booze and hookers for everyone.
And belly dancers. And we're going to spend some time on the concept of self-radicalization. And apparently what I think they mean, they being the administration and the national security and military and intelligence apparatus right now, and the pundits that are using this term, is that they never talked to anybody about this, so it's self, and they had to go from a
zero to jihad,
a benign, loving concept of Islam, not militaristic. I mean,
non-practicing. You mean non-practicing
Muslim?
Muslim?
I mean, you can't look at Mohammed, who was a warrior's warrior, a man's man. This is why Islam is such a masculine system. Mohammed was viewed as a man's man, a warrior who would kill and slaughter and fear and create terror in the hearts of everyone, so that when he walked anywhere, they would open up. The crowds would open for him. You can't understand Mohammed as Mohammed is depicted in the Quran and the Sunnah and the Hadith, because that's an extremely bellicose concept of Islam. So you can't have that. You got to create a fake. You have to put a veneer over everything and say Islam is some sort of flowers child religion of the 60s. And these guys went off the rail somehow all by themselves, watching crazy videos that the Taliban did. They went off the rail and they went into jihad.
Crazy. You know what?
It's the exact opposite of what's true.
And I tend to disagree. They were not self-radicalized. In fact, because of their receipt of over $100,000 of taxpayer money, I would consider this state-sponsored terrorism.
Oh, that's right. They received from Massachusetts.
Excellent point.
Yes,
excellent
this
point.
Is state-sponsored terrorism.
And both of them, and mommy too.
Yes.
And jihad mommy.
From Massachusetts, they received, I think it was over 10 years, $100,000, about 10 grand a year, but it probably was different increments, and probably much more. That's how much that is being reported. So you're concluding, Imam Abdullah, that the taxpayers of Massachusetts paid this Sarnev family
to self-radicalize.
all this money to self-radicalize,
Yes.
and then to blow up people on Patriots Day and kill a little 8-year-old kid and 2 other people and blow up 15 people's legs and injure about 200. State sponsorship. You know what? There's got to be obligations and responsibilities at some point by I'm getting aggravated now. We have at 40 minutes past 5 o'clock here on the 30th of April, Tuesday, we have in Sharia the threat to America doctrine called misprision of treason. And it says that once you take an oath, you swear your allegiance to the Constitution, to defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. You have a moral and a professional obligation to understand the threat doctrine of the enemy. That means if you're going to be a general in the military fighting the enemy, you have to understand what the enemy, what the hell they believe. If you are the governor of a state, you have to understand if people are attacking your people, what the other side believes. You can't, because you don't like the conclusions of what they believe, because it upsets you, and you go, 1.3 billion people? How are we going to handle all that? I got 1 million in my state. How are we going to handle all that? You don't have the option as a human being who has assumed the position of responsibility politically, and you don't have, by law, by federal law, you don't have the right or the luxury of avoiding the understanding of the threat doctrine. You can go to jail for doing that. Governor Duval and Mayor Menino, and both of you, in our opinion, ought to do a little time in the Gray Bar Hotel for dropping the ball over these 8 years, and we're going to show you in a detailed fashion how you dropped the ball in the Islamic Center of Society of Boston, and you bear some of the responsibility of what these folks are doing.
And it just gave me a thought, Tom, is that if they disassociate the responsibility of it's Islam, stupid, then they don't have to take responsibility of having to understand Islam. So therefore they say, hey, it's not Islam, so I don't have to understand it.
Exactly.
President Bush already told you that Islam is a religion of peace. It's a religion of peace.
Bush
There's
dropped the
nothing to
ball
say.
tremendously. When he said that, that was a setback so badly it wasn't funny. A religion of peace. He should have said, I don't know what this Islam, but let's go back even further. The Bush family is very close with the Saudis, and the Saudis did an influence operation on the Bushes, not only on business, but intellectually. And so George Bush was in a position where he had to say something that wasn't true.
And what's the first thing Bush did after 9/11? When the airspace was shut down,
bye-bye,
he sent them all on a private jet right back to Saudi Arabia. That was just criminal in our book, too. It
was really, really bad. Bush dropped the ball on that for sure. All right, let's get into one of the videos. The first one up there, the Islamic Society of Boston, at 42 minutes after the hour. We got about 20 minutes or so left, and we want to show you at least this first video in our 4-part series. This one was done by Americans for Peace and Tolerance, Charles Jacobs and Ilya. They did a beautiful study of exactly what we're talking about, how the leadership in Boston dropped the ball on understanding who the Islamic Society of Boston, who these people were, and their connections and ties, not to like a little bit of financing of terror here, but to wanting to blow America up, okay? Let's roll this tape. Take a look. That's not it.
In 2004,
that's the third one.
FBI
the first one that was on the top of the first one, Islamic, it says ISB, 7-minute one. It's a first one on the email. And what it does, basically, it's going to look at this Imam Abdullah Farouk. Imam Abdullah Farouk. Here it is right here. Watch this.
Grab onto the shovel, grab onto the gun and the sword. Don't be afraid.
This is
to
Imam
step out
Farouk
into this world
speaking.
and do your job.
This is Imam Abdullah Farouk in his sermon urging congregants to grab onto the gun and the sword. He is a senior leader in the Boston Muslim community and represents the Muslim American Society's Islamic Cultural Center in the Roxbury neighborhood of Boston.
It's called the Islamic Society of Boston Cultural Center.
2004,
when it's
when it was
complete,
being
it will
built.
be the largest mosque in the Northeast. The Fox Undercover investigation has documented that
2004.
several of its leaders, past and present, do have ties to Islamic terrorism.
2004, 9 years
The
ago.
center's founder,
Watch this.
Abdul Rahman Alamoudi, is currently serving a 23-year term in federal prison for an al-Qaeda terror plot.
This is the guy that found it.
One of its former trustees, Yusuf Qaradawi, urges his followers to exterminate Jews and kill homosexuals.
All right, hold it. Freeze that for a second.
One of its current trustees,
Rahman Alamoudi. No, leave that shot on. Alamoudi, the guy, the full screen. The guy on the left of your screen, for those of you watching right now, Abdul Rahman Alamoudi.
Net one.
Abdul Rahman Alamoudi.
Net one, Dave?
Yeah, go to net one. He was a confidant right there. He's doing 23 years. He was a confidant of President Bush. He advised President Bush on the program for Muslim chaplains in prisons and Muslim chaplains in the military. And he got involved in a little deal with some of the Saudis to kill Gaddafi, and he's carrying $300,000 in cash, and no big deal. Tomorrow we'll show you a little more about him. We'll show you him speaking at Lafayette Square around 2000 and supporting Hamas and Hezbollah. He is the founder of the Islamic Society of Boston. Get this through your heads, folks. What he believes is not a radical or extremist view of Islam. It's Islam.
He is good Muslim, no?
He is a good Muslim and a very bad Westerner.
American.
All right, keep rolling. Oh, wait, Kwaradari. Oh, this could take, we can do this for a year. This is so good. Kwaradari right there on the bottom right, Yosef Kwaradari, when he was exiled to Qatar, and from Egypt, because Mubarak said, get Yosef Kwaradari, the spiritual leader of the
Muslim Brotherhood.
Get him the hell out of Egypt. He's just going to destroy us. He's so powerful. Well, when Mubarak was overthrown by the United States assisting, one of the biggest mistakes we've ever made, Kwaradari.
Net one.
Remember the young Google executive that was leading the Arab Revolution in Egypt? Remember that kid? Well, he was whisked off the stage at Tahrir Square and done away with. And then Kwaradari returned to a crowd in Tahrir Square, March 2011. 1 million chanting, cheering, screaming, wide-eyed, just like Ayatollah Khomeini in 79. Kwaradari returned to Egypt. He is the spiritual leader of Egypt right now, of the Muslim Brotherhood. He's on the board. He was one of the key people of the Islamic Society of Boston. This is like Frank Nitti, Al Capone, Bugsy.
Let me give you a little quote by Kwaradari here. It goes, he was saying this in front of a crowd in Egypt just before the return of the Muslim Brotherhood in power. He says the last punishment was carried out by Hitler. He managed to put them in their place. He's talking about the Jews. This was divine punishment for them. Allah willing, the next time will be at the hands of the believers. The only thing I hope for is that Allah will give me an opportunity to go to the land of jihad resistance, even in a wheelchair. I will shoot Allah's enemies, the Jews. Now, this is the...
What is the problem with this? Why are you laughing?
I mean, how clear can you make it? It's Islam, stupid.
But yeah, that's exactly the point. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is very, very important to understand at 40-something?
47 after.
47 after 5 o'clock on the East Coast in Florida, 50,000 watts coming at you, WNN 1470. Tune in here every day, 5 o'clock. Be sure to tune in the morning, 6 to 9, to see Brian and Steve doing great work there. TrentoVision.tv. Our proposition, our theme for this week, to help Americans understand what the heck is going on with the bombing in Boston, the attempted bombing in Canada, the attempted bombing in Spain, this worldwide deal.
New York, Canada train line last week also.
All that stuff. That it's Islam, stupid. The system of Islam, as opposed to the religion of Islam, the system of Islam has in it teaching that mandates kinetic, which is physical, offensive, aggressive activity against the non-believer. Now, the only thing you need to understand the threat doctrine of Islam is to answer this question: who knows more about Islam? Yosef Kwaradari, the spiritual leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, or your friend next door, your nice Muslim friend next door who's a doctor and he's got great kids and he prays 5 times a day? Tell me who knows more about Islam, okay? And that's a trick question.
Now, how about this?
Wait a minute. Because if you answer like you want to, my neighbor next door with the 5 kids and they pray and you're an idiot. You're a complete idiot and you're a frightened idiot. If you tell the truth, Joseph Kwaradari knows more about Islam than your neighbor Abdullah next door. Now you're scared out of your mind because what we're saying, our observations are true. It's Islam. Stupid.
Karadari was supposed to attend an interfaith committee last week, and when he found out there were going to be Jews sitting at the table at the committee, he refused to attend.
Oh, really?
He refused to attend.
Oh, wait. This was an interfaith, so he knew it was an interfaith.
He knew it was
dialogue.
interfaith, yet somehow...
No Jews at the interfaith thing. That's Kwaradari. That's
and
Joseph
now,
Kwaradari.
just in the last 7 days that happened.
And he's old. He's like in his late 80s or so. But if Joseph Kwaradari knows more about Islam than your friend down the street, we're in for a world of trouble because what we're observing and reporting is true. Then there's going to be more problems, and there's a problem with this system called Islam. Let's continue with the video.
Walid Fatahi wrote in Arabic newspapers that Jews are the rapists of the worshippers of Allah and should be scourged.
He's on the
The
board
most
of the
recently
Islamic.
added trustee, Jamal Badawi, promotes wife beating and demands that Muslims establish Sharia Islamic law wherever they live.
Hold it.
Pause it.
This is going to take forever.
Tom, hold up that book for us, would you? That
Should I get in on
no,
the line and see if we go
that
to
book.
3
The
hours
green one.
today?
The green one.
Can you go back to Badawi?
Jamal Badawi. Jamal
There you
Badawi.
go, Dave, right here.
Jamal Badawi is the one who, on the front part of that book, endorses and certifies that the reliance of the traveler is Sharia law. It's right in the beginning of the book. The Fiqh Council of North America, all the Islamic people in the North America say this is Islamic law. It's the third page in. It's like, and we questioned him this at UCF. He was down at the University of Central Florida, and he was giving a lecture sponsored by the Muslim Students Association of the University of Central Florida. And we questioned him, and they got mad, and they had the cops throw us out for asking, do you certify this book to be true? Which he already signed. We already knew it. It was a redundant question.
Yeah, I'm looking
Right there. You're right on. Right there, Tom. Down at the bottom says the Fiqh Council of North America. Right there.
The Fiqh Council of North America. International Institute
The
of
Islamic Thought, the Fiqh Council of North America.
The Fiqh Council.
At the bottom. At the bottom.
Yeah, I'm looking. There's a bunch of different councils. Which one is the Fiqh Council? But it's here. I know
It's here. I know it's here.
Yeah, of
But yeah, and if you read the beginning of this is a certified copy that all the statements inside this are true and blah 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 blah.
Al-Azhar.
Al-Azhar's university, and that's one of them. Fiqh Council of North
Yep,
America,
yep.
International Institute of Islamic Thought.
Now go back to Badawi, who is on the board
Now-
of the Islamic Center of Islamic Society. When you hear me, folks, say
Hey, Dave, pull that picture up. I'll show you one quick thing about Badawi.
when you hear me say Islamic Center, they're usually called Islamic Centers. But over here in Boston, they want it to be a little fancier. They call it an Islamic Society and Cultural Center. That's actually the full name of it.
Now he's got a big old Zabita. Tom, tell him about the Zabita.
Yeah. Well, put his picture on there. Put Badawi back up. And if we can play that little piece, see that little bump on his head, Zabita, prayer bump? That's a sign of religious superiority in Islam because you honor Allah so much by banging your friggin' head against the concrete.
He's a big Metallica
that
fan,
you
no?
develop a unicorn here. Yeah, you develop a unicorn type thing. And that is a badge of honor in
It's a
Islam.
bruise. It's a bruise. You bang your head on the
Because-
ground so hard, so much to show your religious devotion that you get a bruise on your head.
But look at what the narrator says regarding what Badawi wants. So replay that short section, and we're going to have to bring it to a close here. We're having so much fun today. Yeah, right about there.
That Jews are the rapists of the worshippers
Hey, yes,
of
they
Allah
are. We know
and
that.
should be scourged.
Now listen to
The most
Badawi.
recently added trustee, Jamal Badawi, promotes wife beating and demands that Muslims establish Sharia Islamic law wherever they live.
Wherever they live. Okay, cut that. for a
The
second.
organization that runs the
Badawi, who sits on the board of the Islamic Society of Boston, believes that Islamic law, Sharia, should be implemented wherever Muslims live.
Inshallah.
Now, Badawi is listed on the primary law book for Islam. Badawi is on the Fiqh Council, the group of scholars, Islamic scholars, who interpret the nuances and the fine points of the Sharia. Let me ask you a question out there, Mr. Mayor Menino and Governor Duval and every other American. Do you think James Badawi, who sits on the Fee Council and has a gigantic callus on his head from banging his head on the ground, knows more about Islam than your neighbor Abdullah with the 5 kids and the nice lady, and they pray every day, and they go, and you have barbecues with them? And who do you think knows more about Islam? If you say your neighbor knows more about Islam than James Badawi, you are an idiot.
Jamal Badawi, his brother James.
Jamal. But if you say Jamal knows more about Islam, then you better be very frightened, because what we are observing in our analysis of who and why Boston is being bombed, what we are presenting to you is factual information that's extremely frightening, because this is what Islam is. It leads to kinetic implementation of jihad to establish the Sharia for the sake of Allah, folks. That's the whole game right there.
And just one other quick little tidbit, just a little side note about Jamal Badawi. He was listed in the Holy Land Foundation trial as co-conspirator as co-conspirator number 20 for assisting
unindicted co-conspirator. Yep, they're hanging him out.
He's
there.
individual listed. I mean, he's so bad he's individually listed.
Unbelievable. All right, well, let's do this. We have 2 more videos. We have this one and then 2 more. So we got a lot of stuff. The more we know this stuff fairly well, folks. We're professionals. Be very careful handling this kind of material. But the more you do what we're doing here, just laying out the simple evidentiary facts. We're just looking at people that have lived their lives for Allah, lived their lives for Islam. We're looking at writers that have compiled lifetimes, scores of writers putting material together for Islam. And we're looking at how they understand Islam Islam as Islam. And it ain't the way we want to understand it. We want it to be a benign, lovable religion of peace, friendly people. Could Muslims who follow the Islam be nice people? Sure. To the degree they follow the doctrines and teachings, they are not going to be nice people. They're going to be people like Badawi and these others. Could a Muslim be a good Westerner? Sure, if he rejects all these teachings. But let's get it straight. It's Islam, stupid. That's the problem. We're going to continue tomorrow and the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you're going to be shocked at some of the stuff we're going to show you. You take care now. Tom Trento saying goodbye. We shall see you tomorrow. And we want you to do a little homework. Go read the whole Quran tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.